Hey guys, what's up? I'm CJ and welcome back to my galaxy. Today we have another debunking video for the Hunger Games theories. I have 4 theories I think I'm going to talk about today that I have found researching on the internet. I got them from a couple of different websites, and of course if you see me looking down, I am looking at my laptop. I do that in a lot of Hunger Games videos because I've written down notes, so I'm looking at the theories that I have on my laptop today, so just keep that in mind. So for our first theory, District 13 intentionally bombed the District 8 hospital, not the capital. This one, I would say there is actually potential for this theory to be true. If we have a look at District 8, what I'm talking about with the District 8 hospital in Mockingjay, in the first movie and in the book, obviously, when we first meet Commander Paler in District 8 in the hospital that we're talking about, Katniss is being filmed for propos, and because they realize Katniss is really bad at scripted propos, so they just put her out in the field after some arguments between Plutarch, Coin, and Katniss, and etc. They go to this hospital and Katniss addresses all these injured and dead, well, they can't really address the dead people, but they address the injured people in this hospital and the doctors and nurses that are trying to help them. Well, not doctors, actually. I think the districts were too poor for proper doctors, as we see with Katniss's mother and Prim, but they address kind of all the wounded, and Commander Paler takes them through the hospital and District 8 and how the rebellion is going in District 8, and then of course we see a capital symbol of aircrafts coming through and bombing District 8 and eventually the hospital. Katniss freaks out, tries to shoot down, and does successfully shoot down some of the capital planes, and Gale helps her out as well. And I think Boggs also helps out eventually when he realizes Katniss and Gale aren't going to back down from helping. But where I'm getting the understanding of the potential for this theory being true is that we know that from Prim's death in the very end of Mockingjay, that Prim died via a bombing. Obviously, she was blown up amongst many capital children, and there was an aircraft with a capital symbol in the sky that released the parachutes containing the bombs. We eventually find out from Snow telling Katniss that it was actually District 13. For whatever reason, they either had aircrafts that were painted to look like or created to look like the capital aircrafts, or they gained access to capital aircrafts and use that as kind of a way to lie and cover their tracks in it being District 13 that bombed all of these children. So we know that they had some sort of access to the capital aircrafts in some way. So how do we know that they weren't using them previously to bomb, say, District 8? And the whole theory goes is basically the reason that they would have had the motivation to do this is that they knew that Katniss couldn't be in real danger from the capital. I think, actually, I'll get to this, the idea I just came up with in my head, right? The idea that came to mind, right? District 13 wanted something fabricated for Katniss to react to, but wouldn't put her in any actual danger from the capital. So they kind of manufactured it and killed people in the process, and we know that Coin and Gale as well, he's following Coin because Coin has the same ideologies as him, as win in any way possible. So, Coin fabricated this and didn't care about deaths, so we know also from the capital children that she doesn't really care about who dies, so they did that whole fabrication. The only problem I have with this theory is that in the movies, and this is the idea that came to mind just now, is that Snow actually sees Katniss and the District 13 crew in Mockingjay. In the movies, he sees them and is bomb them or whatever the hell, attack them to see if you can kill them. I don't remember exactly what he says, but he's depicted in the movie as trying to kill Katniss, and that's the only thing that kind of debunks it. So potentially in the books, maybe, but in the movies, probably not. Theory number 2, Katniss was hijacked to love Peter. This theory, I hate it. I see this actually quite often. I don't know how much you guys have seen this theory before, but I've seen it on the internet and I hate it so very much. This takes away from the whole point of the books, and the Katniss's mindset is that she doesn't realize she's in love with Peter because she's focused elsewhere, on the rebellion, on her survival, on Prim, on anything else but Peter until she realizes in Mockingjay, when he's been taken and tortured by the Capitol, that she's actually in love with him and is ready to be vulnerable around Peter. And it takes away from the meaning of that scene when she first sees Peter after he first comes to District 13 being taken from the Capitol, and Katniss sees him for the first time and is all happy that, oh my god, he's alive, he's safe, up until she figures out and that he is hijacked because he attacks her. It really takes away, in my opinion, the character development of Katniss and becoming vulnerable and learning to trust people outside of Prem, and she doesn't even really trust her mother, but outside of Prem and the fact that she can't really rely on anyone, she needs that character development throughout the series, both the books and the movies. But if you say that she was hijacked, that means her love, her trust, her vulnerability, her willingness to be vulnerable by Mockingjay doesn't mean anything because it's not real. So they're taking this idea that Katniss, and if you got confused, right, that Katniss could have been hijacked during her first games when she dumped the tracker jackers on the career tributes and killed Glimmer, and in the books also the District 2 tribute. It wasn't the District 2 tribute, District 4 tribute, female District 4 tribute. And basically she had a lot of tracker jacker venom and she hallucinated the whole like thing with Peter and trying to get her, when he was trying to get her to escape, which she didn't hallucinate first of all, but when he did that confused her mind and she fell in love with him, which is entirely impossible because, once again, not only does it ruin her character development, it's not possible because they hijacked Peter over a very long time period. It would have been like a couple of months, couple of weeks, like 6 weeks at least, to, I don't think it has an exact time period, but they are in the District 13 for quite a while. I would say anywhere from 6 weeks to like 3 months they're in District 13 and Peter's in the Capitol. So it was a progression and them changing Peter's memories. So they had to actually do quite a bit of work to hijack Peter, which is obviously intentional by Snow, and they had to do it intentionally. It couldn't have just happened by mistake. So that theory is incorrect, debunked, not real, because Peter and Katniss's love is real. Theory number 3, Snow's old apartment building was turned into the Tribute Training Center. I love this theory, but mostly because it's kind of entirely implied. It's not even just a theory, it is literally the whole point of the description that Suzanne Collins gives us in the novels, although I think in the movies they might change it. But this is something in the books that is almost entirely true. In the original Hunger Games novels, the 74th Hunger Games, they're using the Tribute Center, and it's described as having District 12 is in the penthouse, right? And Peter takes Katniss up to the rooftop. So when they have their conversation in the movies about Katniss apologizing to Peter for attacking him and Peter saying like, I don't want them to change me, that takes place on the rooftop. And if you're a massive fan of the Hunger Games franchise, you've seen the deleted scene that looks god awful, but I really wish they added the rooftop scene just without the green screen, because you've seen that deleted scene. Is so bad, and I'm glad it's not there, but also why couldn't it have been done better? You know, you guys get me. But Peter and Katniss go up onto the rooftop, and it is basically, they have a whole conversation, so they can't technically be heard because the wind is so loud. They don't want to be heard talking about their actual opinions about the Hunger Games, because Peter likes to think things through. Katniss is more of an impulsive type, and I we know that Peter thinks things through better, a lot better than Katniss. You know, if it went for the baby Moloch, definitely thinks things through and does have big opinions. He just acts on them a little bit calmer than Katniss. So in Catching Fire, I believe the Tribute Center, their rooftop scene is also there, and this is the cutest moment between Peter and Katniss, that they're not technically together, but Katniss is slowly falling in love with Peter at this point. They take like a little picnic outside on the rooftop, and it's so adorable, and Katniss there's literally a whole thing where Peter is playing with Katniss's hair and he says something sweet and he's like, oh, you're not gonna like tell me off for it, and she's like, no, I'll allow it, and it's so cute. And it takes place on this rooftop with these like beautiful flowers, and they're surrounded by nature and this beautiful picnic, and it's gorgeous, and I love the descriptions in the scene. In the prequel book, when it comes to Snow and his apartment building, the Snow apartment building, they have the penthouse. And in this penthouse, there's a rooftop where the grandmam, Snow's and Tigress's grandmother, she grows these gorgeous roses of all different kinds of colors, and they very rarely like to pick them, but she only picks them for like special occasions. So when Snow has like the mentorship, for the Lucy Gray and for all the tributes, he gets like these different color flowers depending on where he is at his character journey from the grandmam. And they describe this whole rooftop, and it's like this also gorgeous description, and that Snow, and it's not even like the description of the rooftop itself, it's very emotionally beautiful. You know, Snow seems to have a great appreciate for his grandmam and this rose garden, and sees how important it is to her, because at the beginning he is very faithful to his family, and it's a part of his character journey as well. So if we compare side by side in the books what the descriptions of this penthouse and this rooftop is, that's what leads people to believe that this is this exact same building, or at least replicated after it. I personally do believe this theory. However, the thing that is stumping me that I can remember is that I remember, and this is narration said by Effie, that I don't think happened in the books, but someone correct me in the comments down below. Effie in Catching Fire says the Capitol has spared no expense, right? For the 75th Hunger Games, the third quarter quell. The Capitol has built an entirely new tribute center, and we see that. We see a different building. We see things are different in the 75th Hunger Games. And I can't remember if it happens in Catching Fire or not, that there is a different building. So that's the only thing that really debunks it for me, that there's a possibility that the buildings aren't the same. However, there's a chance, if we think about it, that the original building in the Hunger Games, the 74th Hunger Games, that one is not the Snow apartment. However, the one in Catching Fire, if we go off what it says in the movie, then there's a chance that the Catching Fire building, the 75th Hunger Games building for the tribute center, that's the Snow apartment. And the reason that the Snow apartment is redone, I guess, is because he's finally maybe moving out the rest of the Snow family. Tigress is moving closer to Snow so he can protect his political, I don't know what to call it, like people who could potentially expose him for who he is because of how dangerous the rebellion is getting. And we know that Tigress obviously has joined the rebellion, so maybe he had suspicions that Tigress is going to betray him. So he finally moved Tigress out of the Snow building, redid it into the tribute center for the 75th Hunger Games, and moved Tigress closer to the Snow Mansion. So the tribute center that we see in the tribute center, the tribute center in Catching Fire that Katniss and Peter have the picnic in the books, and that we see in the movies, that's the one that was the Snow apartment, the penthouse for District 12. That one, I would say that's a pretty solid theory, and that's actually what has happened, is that they finally decided to change it and renovate the Snow apartment. But if you haven't read the books, I highly recommend it, simply so you can read the rooftops, because it is so good for the character development and the relationship development between Katniss and Peter, and I love it, and I love the connection with the roses to the grandmam and the Snow family overall in the prequel. Theory number 4. District 11 is a failed career district. I've left this theory to lucky last because I thought when I first saw this one, when I was researching, the whole point of this theory is that in District 11 is, in the prequel, District 11 is actually counted by Snow himself that it's a career district. I think they count districts 1, 4, and 11 as the career districts, and it's the one we originally get 2 districts that are what would end up being the career districts. So we know that by Katniss's time it's 1, 2, and 4, and then we definitely get 11 as one of the career districts. That's why Reaper is seen as such a formidable force in the prequel, because we know that District 11 has won before and has been quite strong in the Hunger Games. But we know by the time we get to the 74th Hunger Games that District 11 is extremely poor, and it's poorer than District 12 by the looks of it, and they have such high security as well, and that it is nowhere near as big as a career district as 1, 2, and 4 are. In fact, they barely have any surviving victors other than like, oh, what is her name? The people who end up in District 11 in the 75th Hunger Games. There's like barely any pool of people to be reaped from. So this theory is suggesting that for whatever reason it became a failed career district, like the capital was trying to push for them to be stronger, so they produce more agriculture products, and they keep surviving, and the poverty and the gifts that they get from the capital after all of this winning, you know, they eventually get gifts and as an incentive to send in your strongest people. So because they were a career district, you know, it's technically they should be winning again and again and sending in their strongest people, because agriculture, they probably likely have the most food, but as we know from Rue telling Katniss, they actually barely get any of the food that they harvest. The thing I wanted to add to this theory is the fact that I think their failed career district is because they became too strong, and we know from the 74th Hunger Games rebellion when Rue died, especially in the movies, that they actually, technically by the looks of it, especially through Katniss's monologue and inner monologue and what she seems to observe from District 11, they are the district. District 11 is the district that is most likely to rebel and to speak their minds and to kill peacekeepers, just straight up kill them, attack them, and whatever it takes to cause a rebellion. So District 11 is a failed career district because they got too strong and the capital had to be like, whoa, you're going to kill us and cause a rebellion. We don't want that to happen. So we have to just stop for a minute and not create a career district from these guys. So they kept punishing them, making them weaker, and thus, because they were weaker and they were being starved and all that sort of thing to make sure they didn't have the strength to rebel, it meant they were sending in very weak tributes compared to Districts 1, 2, and 4. So they kind of ceased to exist as a career district. So this fourth theory is definitely true by the looks of it, and I would say it's honestly implied that they are a failed career district just because they became too strong and they were too dangerous against Snow's and the capital's power. Anyways, guys, that is it for today's video. That is all the theories I have for you guys today. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought of these theories. Do you have any theories you would like to add in the comment section down below? I would love to hear them. What did you think of the characters I mentioned, the districts I mentioned, anything about the theories that I mentioned? Please let me know. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out this channel. But once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. But I have been CJ, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!